My 23F friend 23F sent nudes to my husband 31M and he rejected her but never told me anything. Sorry if the post is too long, I did my best to summarize. When we were in our senior year of high school, he 31M was our substitute teacher, and obviously all the girls liked him because he was the only young teacher we had, and I'd 23F be lying if I said that no one tried to flirt with him, because we all did at the time. But he was always very professional and never tried anything with any of us. He and I met again a year after my graduation, and that's when we started dating. And at first my friend 23F used to joke saying things like that I was very lucky to have what everyone wanted in high school. And at first it was funny because things between my husband and I weren't that serious, but then our relationship became like really serious, and I didn't like those jokes anymore. And I let her know, and she stopped. And for years she never did those kinds of jokes again. She got a boyfriend too, so I thought all those things she said were part of the past. But it was not like that. A few days ago I was taking pictures of our baby and our dogs with my husband's phone, since his phone is 1,000 times better than mine. And at that moment he received a DM from an anonymous Instagram account. So I opened, and I didn't like what I saw at all, because it was a video of my friend touching herself. At first I was too naive and thought, well, maybe she sent it to the wrong person, but then she said something like she was mad that he blocked her main account, and asked him if he liked the other videos, which means that she sent him other videos from her main account. So I found the chat, and yes, he had blocked her, but the chat was still there, which means he can see those pics and videos whenever he wants, and just thinking about it makes me feel really sick. In that chat she confessed that she has always been in love with him, and that her boyfriend doesn't satisfy her because she can only think about him, and that she knows that lately he's not having much fun, and if he wants she can give him a hand without anyone knowing. And that hurt me so much, because a few weeks ago we talked about how I felt ashamed of having time again because I gave birth 2 months ago, and that I feel insecure about my body. But I told her that as good friends that I thought we were, because I expected her to give me advice or something. I don't know. I didn't expect her to try to duck my husband. And the only thing my husband told her was that she was crazy and that he was going to show me that chat so that I can see who she really is, and then he blocked her. But it's been a few days and he never showed me those chats, and that makes me think that maybe he liked those pics and videos, so I confronted him. And he told me that he doesn't even care about her, and that he didn't tell me anything about those messages because he didn't know how to tell me, and because he thought that finding out about that could have been bad for me. I had a really bad time during my pregnancy, and he has been very concerned about my health ever since, so that's why he said that. And he told me that's why he locked himself in his office every time she came to visit us, because she makes him feel uncomfortable. Then I asked him if he thinks our time life is boring, and he said no, that he is satisfied and that he didn't mind not having time for weeks, because when we had time again it felt like the first time, and hearing that was really nice. But I can't stop thinking about why he didn't delete the chat. He says it was so he could show me when he's ready, but I don't know. Now we are on vacation, but all I can do is think about that. Even every time we have time, I think that maybe I'm not enough, and that's why he didn't delete that chat, to see her pics and videos. And he noticed that, so he told me 1,000 times that he thinks I'm hot, and that he only thinks of me when we have time, and that he only saw those pics and videos when he opened the chat the first time, and that he never saw them again. He even told me that the only time he ever masturbated looking at someone's pictures was looking at pictures of me from when I was pregnant. And he swore he doesn't even think my so-called friend is attractive, and I want to believe him, but at the same time I feel confused. We've been together for 5 years, and I never felt that way, and I don't know what to do to stop feeling that way. Maybe it's the hormones, I don't know, but I feel so sad and so bad about myself. And I would like to know how I could deal with this. Update. My 23F friend 23F sent nudes to my husband 31M, and he rejected her but never told me anything. When I posted that, I hadn't talked to my friend yet. I wasn't going to confront her on the phone. We had to have a face-to-face talk. So when I got back from my trip 2 days ago, I decided to go to her house, And I told her everything I saw, and of course she made up 1,000 excuses. And being honest, that pissed me off because she was playing the victim, and I wasn't going to believe that shit. So I told her to stop lying, but she kept lying, and she was getting on my nerves. So I started crying because it hurt me to see how she was lying like we hadn't been best friends for years. And apparently that made her mad, because she started saying so many horrible things that I couldn't even believe she was saying that. She said that she always got what she wanted and that she couldn't understand how someone like me could get what she wanted so much, and even tried to make me look like the bad guy and accused me of harassing my husband in the past. She says that because I went to the same college where he was doing his PhD, but I didn't know that because I never had contact with him, it was a coincidence. And she knows that perfectly well, but she kept saying things like that anyway. She told me that I hooked up with him because I wanted to prove to her that I can also get what I want. But that's not true. I never planned any of this, it just happened. But according to her, I'm the psychopath who harassed him and trapped him with a baby that he didn't want. Which is also a lie because our baby was planned and she knows that too, so I don't know why she was saying those things. It's like she's gone crazy or something. What hurts the most is that it is as if she thinks that our years of friendship were just a competition about who was the prettiest, but I always knew this because she was always the prettiest and I was her shadow, but I was fine with that, the most intelligent, the most successful with men, etc. But for me, our friendship was more than that. I really loved her, and I would never have thought that everything would end like this, because I trusted her with my whole life. She was there when I took my pregnancy test, when I was pregnant, and even when my daughter was born, and those moments were really important in my life and she knew it, so I don't know what happened to her reacting like this. She is acting like a psycho and it honestly scares me. If my husband didn't reject her, was she going to sleep with him while pretending to be my friend? Just thinking about it makes me feel sick to my stomach. I told her that now she is dead to me and she didn't even care. She kept trying to make me feel bad, and of course I left. I didn't want to listen to her. I just want everything that happened to be a dream, but since it isn't, I guess from now on I'll have to learn to live without her. But that's my therapist's business, not Reddit's. Story 2, I caught my 24F boyfriend 26 meters talking to Findommes for the 3rd time. He wants to get help from a therapist. I don't know if I should forgive him, but I want to because he is willing to change. My boyfriend and I have been dating for over a year and a half now, and besides this one issue, we get along swimmingly. I love this man so much and know that he loves me, but he has hurt me for the possible last time. This is the 3rd time he has done this and I am sick with rage and don't know what to do. A bit of backstory, I am his first serious relationship ever. Before we got together, he was messaging cam girls since he was 17 and sending them money. He is a real sweetheart but not too social. I was the one who made the first move and asked him out. A month into our relationship, I was on Twitter and connecting my contacts. I added his email and an account with a handle at Steam for Mayhem, not the actual account but along those lines came up. Curious, I clicked on the account and was shocked beyond belief. I don't have the energy to go into what the Findommes community is like, but do a quick Google search and you'll get the idea. That's what his account was like, and also had pictures of himself in sub-clothing. The account had not been used in 2 years, but I was still upset about it. I talked about it with him and he was extremely remorseful and said he was too embarrassed to tell me. I forgave him and said that if he had questions or concerns to talk to me and that I would not judge him for his past. He deleted the account. Cut to 6 months later, I have his phone and I'm using it to find a place to go to breakfast. An email pops up thanking him for a transfer of $100 to PayPal. We are not rich people and he had recently been complaining about finances that day but wanted to take me out because I wasn't feeling well. This made me feel worse as I did something I never did with any of my other boyfriends. I snooped hard. I found out that he had been sending money to multiple women and asking them to do or say certain things for about a month. This took a week to do and I waited to see if he would come clean and talk to me. He didn't. I broke down and confronted him, and he denied it to me in my face. I didn't talk with him for 3 days before he came over and talked with me and said he had a problem. That it was hard to adjust and that he didn't tell me because he didn't want to lose me or leave me. I know that's a silly reason. But I had fallen for him at this point and really had deep feelings for him, still do. He blocked her. I gave him an ultimatum. Do this again, I'm leaving. Because of my lost trust and paranoia, I did something that was really uncool, and I added my fingerprint to his phone so I could access it quicker. I never used it. A week ago, I told him about it and he was visibly upset, but not too angry. Something about his reaction didn't sit right with me and made me extremely suspicious. Cut to last night. We were dog sitting for a friend. Forgot to mention we don't live together, and I have not trusted him since I found out about this last incident. I had been having conversations with him that I felt like he was hiding something from me and that he wasn't being open enough. I asked him every day and he said nothing was wrong. I looked through his phone while he was sleeping and found videos that he had paid for. I was so sick I couldn't sleep. I couldn't believe he did this again and lied to me again. He found me on the couch and asked me if I was okay, and all I could do was stare at him. He knew instantly. He immediately confessed and admitted that he was wrong and made a huge mistake. I asked him to show me the messages and was appalled at what I saw. I almost kicked him out of the house, the messages were so bad. I read them aloud and he just hung his head in shame. Going through more messages, I found out he video chatted with one of them and talked about me very negatively, but also that he felt kind of guilty about what he was doing, not sure if that was a part of the kink or not. He apologized over and over and I just and still can't grasp why he did it again. We are going to see my family for Thanksgiving, then we are going to New York, then to Disney World for Christmas. He calls me every day. We hang out together every day. He talked about moving in together for the past 6 months, sigh. He's been doing this since August. We talked for over 2 hours and we came to the conclusion that we want to work it out but that he needs help. He gave me all the passwords to his social media, emails, and bank accounts as requests, not mine. I messaged the women and told them I was not upset with them because they were just doing their job and fulfilling a fantasy. They apologized and gave me their condolences and understood. They blocked him and he blocked them and deleted their messages. He wants to go to a therapist tomorrow and talk about this because he says he really does not want to lose me because he was a dumbass. I just don't know. I still love him, but he's hurt me multiple times. I know this subreddit is quick to say give up, but I really think if we get help things will be okay. But this hurts a lot. I don't want to go through this again and I don't know if a therapist will help. Update. He is going to a therapist on Friday by himself. He saw the post and thinks everyone is right and feels like a piece of acid. Thank you. Wants me to go with him after his first appointment. Still unsure of what I'll do. Definitely on the fence. He's taking a step and I know that he can do better. Told him that I am not here to help him and if he wants to do better he has to do so for himself. Willing to work on it as long as he does too. Thank you all again for the solid advice and messages. Story 2 update. I caught my 24F boyfriend 26 meters talking to Findommes again and I finally left. He never changed. He never wanted to. I wasted another year of my life by trying to help a person that never helped themselves and I'm paying for it in every way imaginable. I introduced him to the Stop Findommes subreddit. We went to therapy 3 times, only initiated when I caught him. I tried avoiding it. I tried confronting him. Nothing worked because he never stopped the cycle. I was going to study abroad in Asia in December and I did not need this on my mind before I went. So very impromptu on November 16th, I decided I could not be with him anymore. I was sick of feeling used and lied to about something that he didn't need to lie about. I didn't have solid proof. I just had it mentally because I felt he was hiding something from me. And he wasn't trying to fix our relationship at all, even though he swears up and down he did. Instead of handling it well, He shows me an engagement ring his mom gave to him as I was breaking up with him and begged me to stay again. We didn't speak at all while I was away, and I wish it stayed that way. I came back early January and our lease isn't up until February, so I decided we could live together until then. And it was great until Monday, or at least I thought so anyway. We were talking openly about our feelings and he kept apologizing for everything that went wrong. He still wanted to be my friend. Hard no. It wasn't until this last Monday that he got a new phone and switched over his SIM card to his new one. While he was at work, his old phone kept going off, so I looked at it. I fully acknowledge that since we aren't together, I had no right to go through his phone, but the that I found makes me feel no guilt whatsoever. If anything, I'm proud I can see him for who he actually is. I found out he went to see one of the doms he was cheating on me with in LA and never stopped talking to her, even before we broke up. And in $15,000 in debt from sending multiple doms money SN, he always told me one of the traits he doesn't like about me is how badly I handle money. Har har. Projecting much? After I saw this I puked, packed a bag and left. I texted him that I am leaving, and unless it was about the apartment, I never wanted to hear from him again. We've been avoiding each other since. I've been slowly moving my things out and putting it in storage, and I just feel emotionally defeated. I went through 3 months worth of messages and found a few interesting things other than the nudes, videos and pretty subpar timiding. He acknowledges that he lied and that he had an intimate connection with her. To which she replies, "That's called deceit, not cheating." He's glad that it was her. Glad that he can finally make someone happy. Glad he can please his goddess. Glad to be free. Upset that I never understood him. Wow. What a goof lol. He is so disillusioned and addicted to this lifestyle that he genuinely believes she cares about him and that he's in the right. He thinks she's actually his friend, while she goes out to dinner with her boyfriend with his money and using him for emotional support, something he complained about to her about me. And how he loved emotionally ducking with me. She is being paid thousands of dollars to stroke their ego though, so I think I would understand that you have to keep the customer happy. She got $500 off of that LA visit, which is pretty impressive if you ask me. I feel like I should say that I respect time workers and everything they do a lot. But this specific dom is manipulative and has no boundaries. She is a half-baked amateur at best who really has no clue on how to even pretend to know what she's doing. She gives actual doms a bad name. Anyone who is a proper dom and actually cared about their subs' well-being would never do the that these two concocted. Like sending me a picture of her ass and saying she only did it because he asked her to. Asking him how he's going to spoil me today and him telling her that he's going to take me to get my nails done as a surprise. Him telling her how unappreciative I am of his gifts because they don't feel genuine, which they weren't lol. I never consented to any of this, and this acid has ducked me up for life. But get this, she's an advocate for mental wellness. What a joke. She praised him for getting out of a toxic relationship and was glad he could be free from all of my nagging and that I wouldn't hold this over his head anymore. Again, either she's really good at customer satisfaction or a really acidy person. More than likely both. But he never told her that I was the one who actually ended the relationship. But yeah, he never changed. He talked a big game but is so deep into his addiction and himself that he's willing to risk everything for it. I should have listened to everyone's advice and left when I had the chance. I shouldn't have moved in with him. Instead, I was emotionally abused by a narcissist who felt that he did everything he could. A direct quote he said to the Findommes he never stopped talking to for the past 6 months. To those that are questioning and still have hope for the hopeless, get out while you can. You can't change anyone that does not want to change themselves. You can't convince someone they're in the wrong once they see that they're in the right. You may think that other people may not know them as well as you do. It's just something you tell yourself to avoid the actual truth that you're sacrificing yourself for someone who won't even do the same for you. Take care of yourself first because you're only damaging yourself in the long run. Sorry if this looks all over the place, BTW. As happy as I am that I made the decision to leave, I am super depressed and feel like I failed. I know this is all his fault, but I feel like I should have seen this coming. That besides this one thing, he was amazing. But it was a lie. Reddit really helped me the last time, and that's the only reason I'm posting here. Because I haven't slept in the past 3 days and could really use some support and will probably regret posting this later, lol. A couple of notes. For those that don't want to Google, Findommes is financial domination. A more direct definition is financial domination is also known as money slavery and is basically a fetish of people who want to be controlled by another person in exchange for money. They pay people for controlling them, and the one in charge is known as a financial dominatrix. Usually, a male is the submissive who is referred to as a pay pig, a money slave, and even a human ATM because the Findom can shell out as much money as they can from these subs. I don't have a problem with Findom. We actually tried it together. I was uncomfortable with it mainly because I linked it with his cheating and lying. I expressed that I wanted to be monogamous, and he stated that he wanted help and felt sick and wanted to change. I said that if this is what he wants to do, that's fine. I'm fine with that, but I don't want to be deceived and used. Just communicate with me. But as I found out from the messages, he loved emotionally manipulating me and loved to see me hurt. He got off on my pain, a direct quote. He got off on mentally abusing me, and that's not okay. He also had a home-wrecking fetish, but I guess it loses the appeal if I consent to it, I guess. Mini rant: don't do this to partners. WHO have no interest in your kink, or you have not had that conversation with them on what they are okay with in the relationship. Communicate. Give them the option to decide on what they are comfortable with, not what you think they're okay with. Don't hurt someone else if they express disinterest and give you an open opportunity to leave, but you are so selfish that you rather lie to them and put on a facade of wanting help. You can probably find his post on our Stop Findom. I won't link it here, but if you're curious, it may be still there from like a year ago. Story 3. My 26F boyfriend 28M has become suspiciously close to a model 26F he photographs, and has a practically naked photo of her as the wallpaper on his phone. Throwaway account because my boyfriend is an avid Redditor. He's a fashion photographer, meaning he works alongside many beautiful women in his profession. Stylists, hair and makeup artists, and of course, models. This is actually how we met. I modeled my way through college and he photographed me, after which we became friends and eventually started dating. We have been together now for almost 3 years. I've since stopped modeling, but he is still a photographer. Never once in our relationship has he given me any reason to question his fidelity. With the exception of me, he has never dated or even befriended any of the models he has photographed. That was, until Rachel came into the picture. I've met Rachel. She seems like a fun chick, the type of girl who draws a lot of positive attention just by entering a room. She's beautiful, but her personality really shines through. She makes you feel like you're her best friend when you're talking to her. A very cool person through and through. That said, I'm not the only one who feels this way. My boyfriend also adores Rachel. The first time he photographed her, he stayed late at the studio and discussed ideas for their next shoot for nearly 3 hours. He was actually late for a night out with me because of it, but he's always had terrible time management, so I didn't think anything of it. The lateness has now become a steady, recurring factor in their shoots together. They hang out long after the stylists and makeup artists leave the studio. They also text a lot, and he's always smiling to himself and laughing when he reads the messages she sends him. At first he would show them to me and try to include me in on all the fun without me asking, but he abruptly stopped doing that around 2 weeks ago. He tilts his phone away from me now when Rachel messages him. I'm not the jealous type, but if my BF had a history of doing this with the other models, I'd let it slide. The fact that he is only like this with Rachel and me, I suppose makes me wary of what might have transpired between them. Rachel herself has stopped talking to me. We used to communicate and have an easy, casual friendship via IG and Snapchat, but she pretty much ignores me now. Guilty conscience? I don't know. The real kicker is, my boyfriend now has a photo of Rachel as the wallpaper on his phone. He's apparently proud of the concept and the editing, and claims it has nothing to do with Rachel herself, which is totally believable, but doesn't sit right with me. I told him that and he told me I was being irrational. Rachel is single, by the way. She and her BF broke up around 3 weeks ago, so you be the judge. I really don't want to fall into the jealous GF trope, but what else am I to think? I don't want to make crazy demands and accuse my BF of cheating on me, even emotionally, but he really does seem to be fond of this girl in a way that really hurts me. He has other female friends and he doesn't act that way with them. He's capable of being friendly with a girl without flirting or acting suspicious, but with Rachel it's different. He has slowly become very attached to her and I feel like I'm losing him. I have expressed this to him a couple of times, but he always tells me I have nothing to worry about and that he and Rachel are just kindred when it comes to photography. The long nights, constant texting, and phone wallpaper mean nothing. Oh BTW, she's practically naked in the photo and it wasn't taken for any sort of publication, just for fun. Am I being irrational? Unreasonable? How would you feel in this situation? What would you do? Mini update. He and I are meeting for lunch in an hour. Extra mini update. He confessed. More on that later. Micro teacup update. I'll give you guys the full story as soon as this post is kicked off the front page. Correct me if I'm wrong. I don't think we're allowed to post updates until the dust has settled on the original. In any case, thank you so much for all the advice and overwhelming kindness. I'm kind of a mess right now, but I'm lucky enough to have an amazing support system and a clear head. That's all I really wanted out of this unfortunate situation. Official update. First of all, I'd like to thank everyone who left a comment on the original post. Your advice, your words of encouragement and support, and even your criticism has helped me immensely. Thanks. Really. Second, I'd like to address a few things. 1. My boyfriend, sorry, ex-boyfriend, has never taken nude or even partially nude photos of me. Although I modeled in high school and university, my primary focus has always been stage acting. He took my headshots. That's how we met. Not that it really changes anything. Just a bit of insight, I guess. 2. When we were younger and when the relationship was newer, I would accompany him to his shoots all the time. But my own career is very time-consuming nowadays. I know of multiple model photographer relationships where they accompany each other to every shoot, and I've nothing against doing that, but I personally would rather just trust that my SO is on their best behavior. Obviously what happened here kind of squashes that, but I stand by it. If I have to be there in order to make sure my SO faithful, chances are they'll find other ways to cheat. 3. I'm flattered by the offers, but no, I will not be meeting anyone for drinks anywhere. Sorry for the bluntness, just, yeah, okay, now for the good stuff, or I guess, the bad stuff. I met him for lunch Friday afternoon. We went to our favorite sushi joint overlooking the ocean, and I ordered more than I could handle, stuffing my face while trying to decide how to broach the topic of Rachel, but most importantly, our relationship. I went into that meeting with a righteous, ass-kicking speech prepared, but I forgot every word of it almost immediately after we sat down. I guess he could tell there was something on my mind, because he asked me if I was all right, if he had done anything to upset me. Snorts. Yes, Ian, you've upset me very much, actually. As soon as I gathered the confidence to look him in the eyes, I point-blank asked him, "What's going on between you and Rachel?" His mouth flew open as if he were completely and utterly taken aback by the implication, but I cut him off with, "Do not be LLS at me." I tried my best not to let anger get the best of me, I really did. I wanted to stay cool, calm, and collected like so many women on this sub. You know the ones. Those intense stories of cheating husbands wherein the wife takes to our relationships, garners a ton of support, and then updates us later with a well-constructed, storybook post detailing the evidence she has collected against him and the meeting she had with her uncle or sibling, who just so happens to be a divorce lawyer. Yeah, I'm not a badass like that. I wish I were, but I'm honestly just an overly emotional doormat, and I knew going into this meeting that I was either going to cry or gouge his eyes out with my mind. Because I had somewhere to be later, I took a hard left and got super angry. He could see it in me, the anger bubbling over. The people in the restaurant were starting to stare at us, too. In order to save face, I threw money on the table with tip and told him to meet me in the parking lot. If I'd had a switchblade on me, I can't say for certain I wouldn't have channeled my inner jet and beat his shark ass to the pavement. Kidding. Totally kidding. We met inside my car. He climbed in after me, his head down as though he were ashamed or, I don't know, guilty? I asked him how, and he explained everything to me. No preamble whatsoever. The moment he met Rachel, he felt some type of way towards her. He couldn't tell whether it was just a silly crush or something more, but he knew she felt it too. How cute. Barf. They kissed the first night they met. The night he nearly stood me up. They had crazy, emotional, forbidden time the night she and her boyfriend called it quits. And they've been ducking ever since. He mentioned he has always used a Findommes with her, but I don't care. I'm getting tested. Oh, and because so many people asked in the original post, I figure I should mention Rachel was the one who was broken up with in her previous relationship. I don't know why or how. I didn't ask and I don't care to know. Funnily enough, Ian said he doesn't want to be with Rachel, he wants to be with me, and he even provided text messages to show that he's the one who decided not to pursue anything with her on official grounds, but I told him I give zero ducks about what he wants. And unless he can go WO his eyes, he should get the duck out of my car and erase me from his mind before I erase him. I literally said that. In any case, I went home later that day, posted an update for you guys on the original, and drank. A lot. My friends and family, and most of Ian's friends and family, have rallied around me in support. I guess he told his mother we broke up and how it happened, because she called me this morning and said she's disgusted with her son and that if I needed anything at all, she's always there for me. For real, you guys, I'm going to miss his family. They're good people. The best people. This is my first adult breakup, by the way. The type of breakup where you're required not only to break up with your so but with their family and friends, as well. These people you've spent so much time getting to know and growing to love, are suddenly not in your life anymore, and it's kind of daunting, really. Daunting and sad and infuriating all at the same time. So, that's the conclusion to this story. That's what happened. Thank you again to everyone. If I have anything to add, I'll do so below. Note, to the person who said violence is never the answer and I should never have threatened my ex, you're right, you are absolutely right. But if you're ever in a situation where your lying, cheating ex refuses to leave your car the first dozen times you asked, I dare you not to lose your acid and say things you don't mean just so he gets the duck out and doesn't see you cry. Microscopic update. So far, his mother, his teenage stepbrother, and 2 male friends of his have reached out to me saying how disgusted, ashamed, and embarrassed they are on his behalf. On top of 3 mutual friends. It hasn't been 2 days yet, you guys.